Without further ado, Amy's going to introduce our speaker this evening. It's a pleasure to be here and looking forward to class.
Thank you. Okay, so good evening, class. I hope you're all doing well. It's my pleasure to announce and introduce our guest speaker today, Bill, a true titan of the venture capital industry. With over 20 years of experience as an investor, Bill has been at the forefront of some of the most innovative and game-changing technologies of our time. As a partner at Pegasus Tech Ventures, Bill focuses on deep technology investments, including AI, quantum computing, and medical technology, just to name a few. He's also the chief evangelist of Startup World Cup, which is the largest and richest venture capital competition on the planet, with over $1.5 million in cash prizes. Bill is a true master of his craft and even co-authored the pitching guide, Getting to Wow, Silicon Valley Pitch Secrets for Entrepreneurs. And we're so lucky to have him today to hear more from him. With such an impressive background and a wealth of knowledge to share, we look forward to hearing more of his wealth of wisdom. So please join me in giving a warm welcome to Bill Reichert.
Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, are we good? Everybody can hear me? Way back there, you're good? Okay, all right, good. All right, well, thank you to Victoria, to Amy Sukriti, to everyone for inviting me. I am honored and delighted to have the opportunity to participate here in the Newton series. I have some, I don't know, did you share my Berkeley bona fides? I don't know if you shared my Berkeley bona fides, did you? Okay, so I have some Berkeley bona fides, in spite of the fact that I went to Harvard and Stanford. Nevertheless, I also taught here at Berkeley, and my wife went to Berkeley, so I get a sort of shared credit for that, maybe a little bit? Okay. So I did teach a course here on venture finance just before COVID. COVID kind of shut me down, so I've just done some workshops since. But I am eager to share some of my experience with you here today. Okay, so we got, whoops. Okay, let's see, it does work. Okay, it almost works. The builds don't work. You didn't, okay, that's okay, we're fine. So, pardon? We're good? Are you in PowerPoint or where are you? Yeah, so if you can do PowerPoint, that would be great. Okay, we have the technology. And let's see, there we go. All right. Thank you. Okay. So they asked me to come here to do a workshop on pitching as part of a series on compassion amidst capitalism. So, we had to figure out, now how does that actually fit in? And it fits in perfectly, because if you want to make a dent in the universe, presumably, if you want to leverage the capitalist system in order to make a difference in the world, you're going to have to convince people to follow your particular vision, to join you on your team, to perhaps fund you, to in other ways support you. So no matter what you do in your life, you're going to have to learn to be good at pitching. Fair? You've heard the line, life's a pitch. So your reality is, in order to get other people to do something you want them to do, you got to convince them. How do you convince them? You pitch them. So what does it mean? What does it take to be successful at pitching? So as part of my background, just to share how I got to this point, the way I got to this point is long ago and far away. When I was a graduate student at Stanford, I wound up starting my first software company. So I started a company while I was a student. This was before it was fashionable for students to start software companies. And that company, it just took off like a rocket ship. It was great, piece of cake. And then one day it crashed and burned, kaboom, blew up. So the great thing, as I hope you all appreciate, the great thing about Silicon Valley is when you crash and burn, you get to pick yourself up and dust yourself off, and then you spin the story a little bit, and then you get to go do it again. So I got a chance to go do it again, and I went in and actually was part of a team that restarted a company called The Learning Company, educational software company, and we took that thing public. So I thought I knew everything there was to know about entrepreneurship and making money. Jumped into another cool company. We ran it into a brick wall at 500 miles an hour. So, and then did it one more time, took that company public, and decided, okay, let's try something different. And I crossed over, and then I started a venture capital firm with a buddy of mine, Guy Kawasaki, and a few other people. We started a firm called Garage Technology Ventures. And we wanted to be a different kind of venture capital firm. And part of our big idea was we wanted to make venture capital accessible to entrepreneurs around the world. And the way we were going to do that was we were going to be the most outreach-oriented venture capital firm. So we went out around the world teaching entrepreneurs how to be successful as entrepreneurs based on our own successes, our own failures, our scars, and our experiences. So I've been on both sides. So as an entrepreneur, I figure I pitched something over 250 times to investors, wound up being successful about 10% of the time. But I thought, it worked out pretty well. Cumulatively, that was about $100 million worth of fundraising. Crossed over, became a VC. Now, since I've been a VC, I've listened to at least 10,000 pitches. I've lost count. But thousands and thousands and thousands of pitches. And so one day, a friend of mine who runs an entrepreneurship organization said, hey, Bill, will you come be a judge at a pitch competition? And my first reaction was, ugh. And she said, wait a second, I thought you loved doing this. I thought you loved entrepreneurs. I thought you wanted to help entrepreneurs. And I said, yeah, but God dang, these pitches, they're so bad. Why are these pitches so bad? And she said, okay, why don't you see if you can fix it? And so that's what got me going on this journey of trying to figure out what is wrong with the way we're teaching entrepreneurs and everybody else how to pitch. What's wrong with it? So that's what I want to share with you today. I'm going to give you a framework for what I call getting to wow. And my point is that if you don't get to wow, you're not going to get anywhere, right? How are you going to convince anybody unless you get them to say, wow, that's amazing, tell me more, I want to do this. So that's the big idea here. And so to start, though, first we got to understand what do we mean by a pitch. So what is a pitch? Now, don't know how many of you have been involved in anything like entrepreneurship or pitching or anything like that, but traditionally entrepreneurs think of a pitch as, their deck, a PowerPoint presentation, or maybe, it's an executive summary or a business plan or a demo or a video. The reality is your pitch is none of those things. Your pitch is the impression you create and leave behind. That's your pitch. So don't think that a PowerPoint deck or a business plan document or some presentation or some beautiful, drawing is going to be your pitch. The pitch is what you are able to deliver. And the reality in this world is you've got 20 seconds to be compelling, or you might as well go home. That's the reality in this world, because everybody you pitch to is going to be busy. If they weren't busy, they wouldn't be important. If they're not important, they're not relevant to you. So everybody you're going to pitch to, for the most part, that's an exaggeration, but everybody you're going to pitch to is going to be busy. And so I'll tell you a story. One of my companies, my third company, we were building an incredible technology, longer story, But we had a whole bunch of VCs coming in. We had Bill Gates come in. We had Sequoia come in. We had Kleiner come in. We had all these VCs coming in. We were pitching these VCs. One of the meetings, we're sitting there pitching about 2 minutes. So we have, 56 slides, right? 56 slides, an hour-long presentation. We're going to just drown them in the brilliance and elegance of our technology and our business model and our, how we're going to change the universe. About 2 minutes into the presentation, into our hour-long session, right? One of the VCs kind of looks up at us and says, "Where's the beef?" We kind of go, "What a jerk," right? What a jerk. So for years and years and years, I took that as, God, VCs can really be jerks, can't they? And finally, I became a VC. So I became a VC, and I'm listening to all these pitches, and after 2 minutes in almost every pitch, I'm thinking to myself, "Oh shoot, where's the beef?" Right? And I realize that what we have taught entrepreneurs, what we've taught the world, is that we've taught the world that a pitch is a presentation. But a pitch is not a presentation. So, there are all these pitch coaches out there that call themselves pitch coaches that teach you presentation skills. So you've all seen TED Talks, right? And so you've probably all even heard sort of the fundamentals of a good TED Talk, maybe, right? And so it's, the fundamentals of good storytelling. And so pitch coaches, they go in and they coach you on how to create a narrative arc, right? You start with the little boy in the field and you go through this narrative arc, and 20 years later, blah, 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 right? That's a presentation. And it's a story, and you pack it full of great information. A pitch is not a presentation. And that's what we haven't taught entrepreneurs. A pitch is much more like a tennis match than a presentation. And if the people you're pitching don't hit the ball back, then the game is over, right? Now, presentation, right, you're locked in, you're guaranteed they're going to sit here for 40 minutes and listen to you. But a pitch, in the real world, you don't have a guarantee they're going to sit there for 40 minutes, for 4 minutes, for 40 seconds. Your reality is, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a visionary and you want to get your point across, most of your pitches will be less than 30 seconds. Most of your pitches will be less than 30 seconds. Most entrepreneurs gasp when I say this. And they say, "No, I can't get through my slides in 30 seconds. I say, forget about that. Most of the time, anytime you introduce yourself, anytime you tell anybody what you're doing, you're pitching. And you want to leave an impression that's going to cause them to say, "Oh yeah, I met that person. They've got a really interesting idea." So can you get any of your ideas across in 20 seconds such that everybody who meets you, after meeting you for 20 seconds, will say, "Oh yeah, I met that person. They had a really interesting idea"? It's hard. Probably not. So what is the secret? The secret to a good pitch, believe it or not, involves Human Anatomy 101. What we know to be true is that an effective communicator engages 3 body parts. So what are the 3 body parts you've got to connect with in order to be an effective communicator? I appreciate the hand raise. Okay, go ahead. What's the... What? The head is the first body part, okay? You got to connect with the head. But thank you for participating. I appreciate that. So the first body part you got to connect with when you are pitching is the head, right? What you say has got to be understandable. It's got to be logical. It's got to make sense. It's got to fit within the listener's understanding of the way the world works. If you're pitching in business, the way business works. If you're pitching in philanthropy, the way philanthropy works. If you're pitching in physics, the way physics works, right? So it's got to make sense to the listeners, to your audience. It's got to connect with the head. And so I'll tell you, when I was an entrepreneur, I was really, really lucky because I had, I think, some of the best coaching I could have possibly had. I was, relatively early days of venture capital. I had access to some of the most experienced VCs in Silicon Valley. And I thought that the pitch was all about, 56 slides and collecting data and evidence and charts and graphs and logic and just pounding the listener into submission with the brilliance of my logical argument for why they should invest in my company. I thought it was all about the head. And that's the way sort of most of us are raised in sort of high-achieving academic environments, right? We're raised that it's about data and evidence and logic and persuasion. But then I became a VC. And I was listening to thousands of pitches now and bemoaning the fact that it just wasn't working. And so I was watching to see kind of what all these other VCs were doing. I'm a new VC. I'm trying to figure out what they're doing. I went to one of my buddies and I said, now that I'm one of you, tell me, what's the algorithm, right? I thought VCs were these amazing analytic machines that could listen to all this garbage that these entrepreneurs were spewing, right? And could process it in the back of their heads, calculate an internal rate of return, and make these decisions, right? That's why they got paid the big bucks. So I assumed it was an analytic head logic process. But I watched the way VCs were making decisions, and I watched the way we were making decisions, and I had an epiphany. I discovered that it's not about the head. The secret to being successful in pitching is, yes, you have to appeal to the head, but you've got to make them fall in love. You've got to make them fall in love. You've got to get a positive emotional response. And we know this is true. This is what advertising is based on. Multi-billion dollars are poured into not logic, but persuasion, appealing to your wants. What you want is what drives you, not what you should want, which is what should drive you. We all respond to the emotional pull more than the logical pull. And so as an entrepreneur, as anybody trying to pitch, you've got to figure out what is lovable about what you have. What's going to get them to say, wow, that's incredible. Tell me more. I want to participate. I want to invest. I want to join you. How do you get them to say, wow? Wow is not a logical response, right? Wow is not an intellectual response. Wow is an emotional response. So you've got to get them to say, wow. You've got to get them emotionally engaged. But then there's a third body part. There's a third body part. We're not done yet. What's the third body part you got to connect with? Third body part is the gut. So we know that every human being is wired to have an immediate reaction to anything new. So there's been a Nobel Prize has been delivered for this insight that human beings are wired to have immediate reactions to anything new. New person, come against a new person. Do I trust this person or not? Do I believe what she's telling me or not? Do I accept, what they're saying or not? We have an immediate reaction. The problem with most passionate people, entrepreneurs, whomever, the problem with most passionate people is they have a tendency to exaggerate. They have a tendency to hyperbole. They have a tendency to assert that what they hope will be true is true. What does that do for the listener? It makes you doubt them. It makes you not trust them. And so, unfortunately, a lot of passionate entrepreneurs, trying to do good in the world, they destroy their credibility by exaggerating, by misrepresenting, by, sometimes we say, lying. You don't want to lie when you're pitching. It will not serve you well. So, 3 body parts. The head, the heart, the gut. Which one is most important? Tell me. Speak up. Which one's most important? Gut. What am I hearing? Heart. Okay. Anybody for the head? Anybody for the head? Okay. Okay. Just wanted to see if you're listening. It's the heart, okay? It's called getting to wow, okay? So the whole point today is the head is critically important. The gut is critically important. But the differentiator, what sets you apart from everyone else, is can you get them to fall in love? Can you get them to say, wow, that's amazing? How do you get them to say, wow? So I'll tell you, you don't do it the way we typically hear entrepreneurs doing it. So typically what we hear from entrepreneurs is something like this. I'm hoping we won't be hearing it in just a minute, right? But, the name has been changed to protect the guilty here, but Coolco is a dynamic startup company that has developed a revolutionary technology that's going to disrupt our $56 billion industry. Our team has over 45 years of combined experience, and we have 3 patents pending. We project that our curve-jumping, paradigm-shifting solution will transform the blah, 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 blah. So, I get this like 100 times a week, right? This is what I get from entrepreneurs. And so, this is unfortunately the way it comes across. Now, the other side of this is something that we also get. We also get this all the time. A team came into our office and they really, really said this. This is what they said. They said, we use a 2048 Diffie-Hellman key exchange and 256-bit triple DES to provide impenetrable encryption for IoT devices. So, now, okay, I know, I'm here at Berkeley, I know half of you know what Diffie-Hellman key exchange is, right? Okay, so, but, most investors do not know what a 256-bit triple DES is. So, this is not where you want to be. This is the reaction you get, and this is, unfortunately, where you are if you're pitching this way. Not a good place to be. So, how do you get to wow? So first of all, I'm going to be a little controversial here, which is to say I am going to tell you a bunch of stuff that you might have heard from pitch coaches that will set you the wrong way. So I told you before, most pitch coaches are actually presentation coaches, and that can do damage to entrepreneurs. So I'm on a mission to transform the pitch coaching industry to get rid of some of these bad habits. So pitch coaches will tell you, you start with the problem. Makes sense. You set up the problem, and then you just destroy it with the solution, right? Just kind of makes logical sense. But what happens is, entrepreneurs, they come into our office, they've been coached to start with the problem. First slide up is a picture of Beijing with orange clouds everywhere, and the sun is this orb in the sky. And then a whole bunch of text that says, every year we're dumping 36 trillion tons of carbon dioxide into the air, and it is creating, asthma and damn and blah, 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 blah. They do 4 minutes on climate change. And then, we're sitting there going, we are not on the edge of our seats right now, okay? I know about climate change. Or they come in to our office and they say, did you know that 856,000 people every year die of lung cancer in the United States? And that costs over $3.5 trillion in healthcare expenditures. Worldwide, it's $45 trillion are spent on whatever it is. So they give us all of this data on, the fact, did I not know that lung cancer is a problem? Seriously? Okay. So almost certainly, for every vision you've got, almost certainly, whoever you're pitching knows the problem you're solving. So just tell us what your solution is. Tell us what your solution is, because we almost certainly know the problem you're solving. Now, every once in a while, there's a corner case, 1 out of 20 times, there's some, esoteric technology or problem that you're dealing with. But almost every time you're pitching, your audience knows the problem you're solving, so just tell us what's your compelling solution. Then, if you tell us the benefits of your solution, the benefits that you deliver are the problems you solve. So don't waste our time by doing the easy way out, which is to talk about climate change for 4 minutes, rather than talking about how you're going to make a dent. Okay? So the other thing that every pitch coach will tell you is that the way to develop a great presentation is to tell a story. And so we have these entrepreneurs, they come into our office, they put up their title slide, and they say, "Hi, my name's Bill. Would love to tell you about my company, but before I do, let me tell you a story. When I was a kid, my grandfather had a farm, and I'd go down there in the summers, and on the farm he had a pond. And so in the afternoons, I would go down to the pond and look across the water at the forest beyond. And looking at the forest, I discovered blah, 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 blah." And so, no, it's okay. Okay, it is okay to have an origin story. It's okay to have an origin story. But tell it over a beer, tell it over dinner, whatever. Do not tell it at the beginning of your pitch, unless you're talking to people who've got nothing better to do with their lives. Okay? So, again, tell us how you're going to make a dent in the universe. Don't tell us that the universe has problems, okay? So then, the other thing every pitch coach tells every entrepreneur is those VCs are greedy bastards, right? And so all they care about is you have to be a unicorn. So if you're going to be a unicorn, you got to show a big market. And so every entrepreneur on the planet now has this slide that says our TAM, I don't know. So TAM is this entrepreneurship term that I don't know if any of you have learned it yet, but TAM stands for total addressable market. And so every entrepreneur on the planet tries to convince us that they have a huge total addressable market. $56 billion or $256 billion or $2.5 trillion. We're going to disrupt the $3.75 trillion healthcare market in the United States. Do you believe me? You believe me? I got something I want to sell you. No. Okay. No. You go tell an investor that you're going to disrupt the entire US healthcare market. What are they thinking? They're thinking, how do I get out of this room as fast as I can? Right? So, do not destroy your credibility by making up these exaggerated numbers about the market you're going after. And then lastly, every pitch coach will tell you, here's the perfect template. Just fill out this template, you'll have the perfect pitch. No template was ever written for your idea. Your idea has unique challenges, unique milestones, unique elements to it. The topics you need to cover may be useful to get out of these templates, but never just take a template and think that's the right template for your pitch. So these things will not get you to wow. So how do you get to wow? You get to wow, I'd like to say very simply, but it's actually very hard. So the way you get to wow conceptually is easy. Whoa. I hit there we go. Okay, conceptually, getting to wow is easy. First of all, you got to be clear what it is you are doing. So don't tell me about problems, don't tell me about technologies, tell me what is it you're doing in a way that I can understand. Because I can't listen to everything else you talk about if I don't understand what it is you're trying to do. So, but I can't tell you how many times when I ask entrepreneurs, what do they do? Tell me what you do. And they're like a deer in the headlights. And it's just, for whatever reason, I'm not that intimidating. I mean, for whatever reason, entrepreneurs do not have at the tip of their tongues, most of them, don't have at the tip of their tongues, yes, this is what we're doing. So every visionary should have that sentence right at the tip of your tongues. You should be ready to say it with confidence and clarity. But for whatever reason, surprisingly few entrepreneurs have gotten to that point. They're dependent on the deck to convey the story. Never depend upon the deck to convey your story, okay? All right, so you got to be clear. The second thing you got to do is you got to be compelling, right? You've got to offer a compelling value proposition. You've got to be able to say in concrete terms how much better you are than anyone else. And then thirdly, you've got to be credible. We've got to believe you. You've got to have evidence that what you are saying is true. So be clear, be compelling, be credible. Be clear connects with the head. Be compelling gets my heart beating faster. Be credible passes the gut check. So I will tell you, this is an important framework for every communication you have for the rest of your lives. No matter what you're doing, in any sort of organization that you're trying to help move forward, the language of that organization has got to be clear. It's got to be compelling, and it's got to be credible, right? But what do most organizations have at the top of their webpage? They have, Idiosyncratic Corporation, Inc. We empower the future of education. Right? Doesn't that sound wonderful? I mean, yes, it sounds wonderful, but it's meaningless. So I'm going to do something here. So this came in yesterday. I'll give you an example. So entrepreneur pitching us, well referred. So referred to us by a credible VC. And, the VC said, you really should listen to these guys. And I looked at the deck and I, bounced back to the entrepreneur and I said, hey, okay, could you please summarize for me? What is your compelling value proposition? Now I'm wondering if I'm going to delete the name. I should delete the name. But this is what he sent back to me. Are you ready for this? He sent, XYZ Co. is a materials technology company that develops the most scientifically innovative thermal solutions on the planet. With XYZ product, silica aerogel based, and even more with ABC product, polymeric aerogel of second generation, our company is transforming thermal insulation across U.S. defense, aerospace, cold chain packaging, and apparel markets. Are you guys ready to sign up? No, I mean, in any case, so my work is not yet done, obviously. So most entrepreneurs think that what is compelling about their company is their technology. That's what we get a lot of, that we've just got cool technology. That's not a benefit. Technology is not a benefit. Technology is not compelling. So let me tell you a little bit more about when you need to wow. So when can you use this framework? I just told you, you can use it pretty much everywhere that, this presentation was written primarily for entrepreneurs in the venture world, but it's true for all communications anytime you're trying to get people to do something you want them to do. So how do you get to wow? I'm going to give you sort of 3 elements to getting to wow, a framework for you to use. One is, and then we're going to get a couple of examples who we're going to pitch, right? So first sentence, tell us what you do, right? I told you, most entrepreneurs are not good at this. Use what I call simple TechCrunch language. TechCrunch is a tech venture newsletter that everybody in the venture world reads and knows about. But the point is, it cannot be IEEE Spectrum, engineering magazine white paper language, and it doesn't have to be something your grandmother can understand. Okay, so most pitch coaches will tell you, you have 12 words and a 6th grader has to understand it. No. Just give me a sentence that any reasonably educated person in the community can understand. Second sentence, right? What is your compelling benefit? And who realizes that compelling benefit? So what is a benefit? What is a benefit? A benefit is not technology. It's not silica aerogel. Silica aerogel is not a benefit. What is the benefit that silica aerogel provides? This company should have told me that they can reduce the cost of thermal insulation by 80% using their novel material. But no, they didn't tell me anything about the benefit that they could deliver. So quantify your benefit. How much of a dent can you make? And it's got to be credible. So that's your third sentence. Your third sentence is your credibility, your validation. What evidence do you have that what you're saying is true? You know, we did a pilot last year with Major League Baseball, or, you know, we've demonstrated with third-party testing, or we've got Walmart as a customer, whatever, right? What's your credibility? How do you validate? So, a clear description of what you do, a compelling value proposition for what benefits you deliver, quantify if you can. You ready? You're going to quantify? Okay, good, all right. And then give me some validation. Give me reason to believe that what you're saying is true. So now, normally, in a bunch of high-achieving, you know, people, someone said, wait a second, Bill, that looked like a template to me, and you said don't use a template, okay? So, fair, consider it guidelines, okay? But I will tell you, thank you, Pirates of the Caribbean, but I will tell you, you need those three sentences, right? You need a sentence for what you do, right? You need a sentence for your compelling benefit, and you need a sentence for your validation, your credibility. So, but there are other ways to get there. There are some other ways to get there. One is, if you can tell a story or paint a picture in one sentence, I'll let you do it. I'll let you do it, okay? So we know it's true. If you can tell a story or paint a picture, it sits better. We remember it better. So that's the reason everybody tells you you should tell a story. But if you can tell a story or paint a picture in one sentence, then that can be very, very powerful. So a way to start that sentence is, imagine if you had an application that pulled together all of your contacts, all of your messages into one place, so you never had to search the 15 different message apps that you've got to find the message that you needed to find, right? Whatever. So that happens to be an app that I want somebody to build. Can somebody build that app for me, please? Anybody? Anybody? Okay. All right. So, if you can paint a picture with imagine if statement, that can be helpful. If you can use an analogy, that can be helpful. So one of the things I do, by the way, how am I doing here? Okay, I'm okay. So one of my side jobs is that I'm co-director of the Harvard Alumni Entrepreneurs Accelerator. It's a virtual accelerator for Harvard alums. And last year we had a team out of West Africa that was developing software to connect blood banks throughout West Africa. And the founder, using this model, said, we are the SAP for West African blood supplies. And everybody said, oh, I get that. I understand what that means. Now, I don't know how many people here know what SAP is, but it's an ERP system, he said. That's helpful. But it's a software program that enables you to keep track of everything. In a large enterprise, that's complicated, right? With blood supplies in West Africa, that was complicated. The only way to find, a B negative blood supply was you called up a bunch of other blood banks around the region to see, does anybody have this? And what they were doing was creating an inventory management system for blood across 110 hospitals and blood banks in West Africa. So, great story. It's a great story. But in any case, an analogy can get you there faster. if you can use an analogy to explain what it is you're doing. So that's explaining what he's doing. That's not the sentence that explains the benefit. You can guess where the benefit comes in, but that's just what I'm doing. And then lastly, another way to get to wow, which is totally different than anything that I've said so far, is if you've got a really, really big name to drop, right? If you can drop a really big name, drop it early, okay? Do not wait to the end. And so, in this case, the story here is team comes into our office, hour-long presentation, 55 minutes into the presentation, they put up the team slide because the template said you put the team slide at the end. So they put up the team slide and I go, oh my God, you're kidding. Bill Sharp, Nobel laureate in economics, is one of your co-founders? And they go, yeah. I said, what? Why didn't you tell us that before? They said, well, we wanted to end with a bang. And I said, yeah, but if you had told us at the beginning, we would have listened. So yes, if you've got a really big, another great, actually the counterexample is I was in New Zealand judging a pitch competition in New Zealand, and a woman gets up and says, hi, my name is Claudia, and we've developed enterprise software for the entertainment industry for special effects. Last year, we won the Academy Award. And then she went on for another 3 minutes and 50 seconds. And I said at the end, Claudia, you had me at Academy Award, right? So, okay, so now, how many people here, okay, nobody's won an Academy Award yet, right? So I actually did a, yeah, did I hear a yes? It's possible, it is possible. So I did this workshop in Bogota, Colombia last year. And I did this, ha ha ha. Anybody here won an Academy Award? And one of the guys points to a friend of his and says, well, no, but he's won 2 Emmys. We go, boom, wow. that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. So if you've got a big name to drop it early and often. So, okay, some final tips. Keep it simple, keep it simple, keep it simple. We do not talk the way we write. So entrepreneurs will tend to want to script out their wow. It's okay to write bullets down, but if you try to write a wow sentence, you'll wind up with subordinate clauses and adjectival gerundives or whatever they are, right? So you'll wind up with this very complex sentence that nobody will understand. People do not talk the way students write. So get the ideas out, but then put it into natural language, okay? So that's part of keeping it simple. And then one of the things that, again, I just keep pushing everyone, be customer focused. Stop talking about your technology, stop talking about your product, talk about the benefit to your customers, and then try to use 1 or 2 numbers that are measures of the benefit that you can deliver. So quantify the benefit. It's got to be 10x, right? It can't be, better than. It's got to be 10x better. It's got to be last 10 times longer, cost 1/10 as much. You want this 10x effect in order to get to wow. And then of course, don't lie, right? You know what I mean. So unfortunately, too many entrepreneurs lie. There's actually a whole separate workshop that we did called the Top 10 Entrepreneur Lies. I think somebody mentioned that they had actually seen me do one of them. So you can go on the internet and you'll find, if you type in, Top 10 Entrepreneur Lies, Reichert, you'll find a couple of videos or blogs or something like that. So now, I'm not going to spend any time on this, but a lot of entrepreneurs want to know how to craft the perfect pitch. There is no such thing as a perfect pitch, but you've got to develop, different pitches for different situations. So these guys now, they can't use their slides. They're going to do a 1-minute pitch. They've got to have that ready. It's got to be clear, right? It's going to be great. Okay. But sometimes you have slides, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you only have 20 seconds, sometimes you have 20 minutes. So different pitches for different circumstances. Most entrepreneurs, what they do is they develop the 20-minute pitch deck, and then they just pull out the number of slides they need to cut it down, and then they talk twice as fast to get more coverage, right? That doesn't work, right? So don't do it that way, please. Okay. So, and then of course, this is our template. You can find this on my website. And then now this is the advertising portion of the program. So the advertising portion of the program. So I've done a couple of things to try to help with pitches. One of which is this blog and video called The Top 10 Terrible, Horrible, Very Bad Slides. Okay, so now you guys are of this age, right? How many people know where this title comes from? Okay, not that many, really. So it happens that our first son is named Alexander. And for those of you who don't know, there was just a wonderful, wonderful book called Alexander's Terrible, Horrible, Very Bad, No Good, Very Bad Day. And so I stole that. I stole that because I wanted to accomplish a sort of tongue-in-cheek helping entrepreneurs understand what most entrepreneurs do badly and what you can do well when you put together your pitch. And then finally, we've got the book. So Gigi was going to make it required reading, I thought. Is that what happened? No? That's okay. That's okay. You saw the movie. You don't need to read the book, right? So with that, okay. With that, pardon? Oh, okay. Set it up.
Thank you, first of all. Thank you.
Okay. But wait,
Yep. Oh,
but wait,
there's more.
But wait, there's more. Right. Okay. Go ahead, Vicki. No, you. That was.
Ever been in a situation where someone you trusted told you something that turned out not to be quite true? Yeah. So, two extremely trusting students, when asked if they would do a pitch, were like, "Yeah, we'll do it." And both were like, "Do we need to do anything in preparation?" No. Just do like a pitch. No, I mean, absolutely no direction. I did not say, "Hey, maybe it'd be helpful to read this book," or maybe you can look at the slides that Bill has already set. So I want to let you all know that these two individuals have been working on companies. They both been past students in the Newton series where you're sitting, but they have something really critical from my experience in collaborating with them. They both are willing to learn and take a risk. And so they have both agreed to take a risk up here and then learn from Bill. And that's what we're all doing. So I just kind of wanted to preface that. And then I actually wanted to introduce Sukriti, and she has her own company. And so I thought it'd be fun if we almost do this like, hey, you all are in passing. Maybe you're at a conference, something like that.
Exactly.
It happens with all of us. And all of a sudden, Sukriti is like, I'm talking to him. Oh my God, you're so Reichert. Because you have this incredible, well,
wow. Ooh.
Yes. Go talk to him really casually using this microphone.
Really casually. I'm just sitting here working on my email. Oh my God, I can't believe it. Really? Jesus. Oh my God, okay.
Hey, Bill.
Oh, hi. Hi, McGrady.
How's it going? I'm shaking.
That's okay. Fancy running into you here.
No, likewise. I thought I'll pitch you my startup because I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah? So tell me about it.
Yeah, okay. So as most of you know, I'm Sukriti. I want to talk to you about Mentio, which is a Skydeck-backed edtech startup which helps high-achieving students share their high-quality resources with students in need worldwide. What sets Mentio apart are primarily three things. Firstly, we're student-driven. This is important because students understand the nuances of a curriculum better than a teacher or a book. Secondly, we believe in quality assurance. This means that all mentors on our platform have gone through a rigorous credibility assessment, and we give you the best mentors. And lastly, we're community-based. This means that our ultimate goal is to build a community of empowered students who have access to high-quality resources. Mentor has helped deliver nearly 100 hours of mentorship, has been used by over 500 students, has a network of 50 mentors from top universities like UC Berkeley. And if you would like to help in my mission, I can tell you more about it.
Okay. Okay, wild applause. Wild applause. Okay. Okay, I know that's tough. Okay, so this is what I heard. This is what I heard. Hi, my name is Sukriti. You know me, whatever, something like that. But I'm going to tell you about Mentia. Mentia is I couldn't quite hear the word. It sounded like you said student-backed resource platform, something like that, to enable students to share all of their wonderful assets or something like that. And there are sort of key characteristics about Mentia. It's student-run because that's important to be student-run. And it's also quality assured because we want to make sure that it's quality assured. And so we're going to make sure that you have good mentors to help you with whatever it is you're doing. And so we've already signed up 50 mentors and done 100 hours or 100 mentors in 50 hours or something. and if you want to hear more, I'd be happy to tell you more. So that's what I heard. What did I miss?
No, you got it.
Okay.
Almost
Okay.
all of it.
Okay. Okay. Now, that's also because I was trying hard, okay? I was trying hard. So, but I didn't, see, Mentia is a something-backed,
Skydeck.
What?
Berkeley Skydeck.
Skydeck. That's what you said, Skydeck. Okay. So some, so what I'm going to offer is some constructive feedback, which is also known as tough love, okay? All right, so first of all, it was a scripted pitch. Now, that's a little unfair, but it's really hard to listen to somebody read stuff. It's just, and you could, she wouldn't have normally said those words that way if she was just talking to me, right? You wouldn't have said that. And so that's, whenever you're talking to someone, again, back to the real world, right? Back to the real world, most of your pitches are going to be less than 30 seconds long. And so you can't have this memorized, see if I can jam 120 words into 30 seconds. Now, you didn't speak too fast, which was fine. Normally, a lot of entrepreneurs with a script will read it fast and without a lot of inflection. But the way anytime you read something, you can't get the same inflection in your words that you would in a normal conversation. And so you lose some of the impact by either reading something or memorizing something and repeating it. So, I encourage, you can in fact, if you're a good actor, right? Good actors are good at memorizing lines and speaking them with the right inflection that makes it sound normal. So, the other thing that is a challenge for a lot of entrepreneurs is the name of your company and you know what your company does. And you sort of assume that I know what it does, right? So it's a Skydeck-backed something platform for students to share something, right?
EdTech.
What?
EdTech, education technology.
EdTech. To share EdTech? Or it's an EdTech platform. It's an EdTech platform. I've been in EdTech. I know what EdTech is, but okay. So there are a couple of things going on here. There's a couple of things. One is, the sound system is not great. And so that, in a normal conversation, it wouldn't have been distorted through the sound system. But because you know what you're saying, you tend to say it. A lot of entrepreneurs just tend to swallow their words. And so if we could play back the way you said that first sentence, you would not have loved the way you said it. You sort of just tried to get it out, right? as opposed to being excited about it. There was, she was clearly not excited about what she was doing, right? Did you get a lot of excitement? I mean, so the words had passion in them, but Sukriti did not. And so I don't want you to be over the top, crazy, not so passionate, but I just want you to be human, enthusiastic in the way you do a pitch, right? Okay, so that was sort of style. You want me to wrap it up? Okay, I wasn't supposed to say that out loud. I was just supposed to pay attention to what you're doing. Okay. So that was style. Content. So content. So eventually, I figure out it's a student-run mentorship program, right? And so again, back to the credibility point. I didn't get, well, first back to the compelling value proposition. Obviously, student mentorship is compelling, right? Maybe, maybe not, right? You assert, because you have quality control, that it's going to be great mentorship. Do you have, so you're not going to be able to measure the impact of your capability, right? All you can do is measure activity, and that's what you gave me. You gave me numbers that were measurements of activity. Activity is not a benefit either. It shows some degree of traction or momentum, and that's good, but I didn't hear anything about how the students love it. How, all of the students who tried it came back for more and said, I love, love, love Mentia. Why didn't I hear that? So I assume since I didn't hear it after all of these hours of mentorship you've done, probably nobody's liking it that much, huh? Is that right?
No.
I bet that's not right. But, think about what a listener concludes. If you don't tell me a compelling benefit, if you don't tell me some testimonial, some evidence that people love it, keep coming back for more, why should I get excited? Okay? So I'm being tough on you, okay? But you get my point? You get my point? So you can't just describe what you're doing. And that's, one of the challenges that most visionaries have, is they describe what they're doing. But I need more than that. Your listeners need more than that. They need to hear results, okay? Okay, I'm getting the hook here. So, okay, Sukriti, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, okay.
To do it in front of you all, this is what we call a masterclass. When you're getting feedback in the moment. And if you want to be entrepreneurs, the more you can practice stuff and say it again and again, the better you're going to be at it. I'm so proud of you. Thank you for doing it, and thank you for the way you do it.
Okay. Okay, all right. Jeez, what are you saying? Come on. Next contestant. Hey, how you doing?
Bill?
Good to see you. How you doing?
Doing well. So I
Good.
guess I'll follow your prompt here and get to what I do. Right?
Yeah, so what's up? What are you up to?
So we built an artificial intelligence algorithm that can recognize how you feel from the sound of your voice in real time, and rolling that into a wellness app that can recognize how you feel from the sound of your voice in real time and recommend wellness content to meet your emotional needs thereafter. So basically, I guess I can sum this up. Think of Calm that you would stop using after a couple of days because there's too much content. You don't know where to find anything. And you can just open this app up, talk to it. It'll recognize how you're feeling from the sound of your voice, and you can plunge directly into a piece of content that kind of gets at the heart of how you're feeling to help you remedy that feeling, essentially. And so that's what we do, right? And so in terms of, I guess, who we're surveying and why people want to use it, basically just because, again, people stop using Calm and Headspace and things like that because they can't find anything, and they feel like they're wasting money every month, essentially. But beyond the actual wellness stuff, we do, employee emotion data analytics, right? So what that means is, in one sentence, how employee emotional trends impact financial trends, right? And so knowing when to boost morale can actually save and make you money thereafter. So that's essentially it.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, you ready for this?
Sure.
Okay, no. Okay, sorry. Vicky set me up there. So, all right. Does everybody know the name of his company?
Core AI. I forgot that part.
Okay. You never told me the name of your company. I know.
That's true.
Okay. Does anybody know his name? Okay.
Oh, he was knows me right there.
Okay. You know, okay, stupid little stuff, right? Stupid little stuff that makes the difference. How am I supposed to walk back to my partners and say, I met a guy, I don't know his name, but he has a cool company, I don't know the name. But they've got an AI app that can listen to the sound of your voice and tell you how you feel just from the sound of your voice. So what they've done is they've spun that into a wellness app to tell you, to determine how well you feel based upon the sound of your voice. And then they've added content so that once the AI determines how you're feeling, you can get content to help you get more well, presumably, that's the theory. So, unlike Calm, which everybody dumps after a couple of sessions, even though you, Bill, are an investor in Calm, or Headspace, even though you, Bill, are also an investor in Headspace. Which are obviously crappy apps. What we do is provide content to keep you going. Okay, let's see, what else? Oh yeah, we're doing some stuff with corporations on corporate wellness to try to correlate, wellness with making money, and that's something else we're doing, and that's about it. So what did I miss?
In a nutshell, those are the core points. And
okay, what did I miss?
I guess my name is Kai.
Okay. So, obviously one of the lessons here is you should know your audience, right? So Kai even told me beforehand that he actually went through our portfolio.
I did.
And yet you said, Calm's a crappy app.
I didn't say that. I just said that.
What did he say? Huh?
Well, that's not what I said.
I mean,
what I will reiterate, I guess I'll say this time is that. And you can just ask consumers. You can say that people don't.
No, I know it's an. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not. Don't get. I'm. No, I didn't mean to attack you on. I'm just saying.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And so, but the point is that and so Calm has had to pivot, and Headspace also had to pivot because that consumer wellness didn't pay off, right? So Calm is now a different company. So is Headspace, but that's another point. That's a different point. So know your competition. Because, the business of Calm and Headspace is not, consumers paying a subscription to listen to meditation anymore. That's not the business that they're going after anymore. So, but back to your point. So did you give me any conclusive evidence that what you're doing makes a difference?
Oh, I guess I can add this point too. So anybody taking
when are you going to add this point?
Well, this is a conversation.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I guess the next thing I can add here is anybody taking the happiness class at UC Berkeley or heard of the happiness class? The giant one? Raise a hand. Loud and proud? Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yes.
Hear that?
Yes, that's true. So basically the guy who designed all our content and also designed our app and everything else and helped design the algorithm is the world-renowned expert in emotion theory and mindfulness, and he's a Cal professor here. He teaches that giant famous class.
Okay.
So, but yeah.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good. And now he's the guy who gets credit for, this is the guy who gets credit for EQ, even though the guy who wrote the book is a different guy at Columbia, right? Isn't that this professor?
No, he's the
guy, emotional intelligence guy.
Yeah.
Right. The original at DEC or EC or EC.
Dacker Keltner, yes.
Yeah. So okay, whatever.
That's the guy, yes.
Yeah. So I've actually heard. Now you're the third pitch I've heard from one of his students. But,
really?
Yeah. But in any case, it's great to drop. So he did not get a Nobel Prize though, right? But he's world famous. So
he is world famous.
We'll give him credit. Okay. So that would have been helpful.
This is true.
But it would have also been helpful if you had any evidence that what you're doing works.
So in terms of the model's accuracy, we can go through that right now again too. So we can say that, the average person recognizes emotions at 63% accuracy, and our model does about 70-75. 75 on test set, 70% in real world.
Okay.
So that's what we do.
Okay. Is that a benefit? Is that a benefit that our model is more accurate at recognizing your emotional state than your average mother? or whatever. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Is that a benefit? What would the benefit? Okay, so generally you guys are saying that's a benefit. Why is that a benefit? Why is accuracy a benefit in this case? How does it help either of us if you know that I'm sad? Okay. Targeted treatment, right? So the benefit is the content, the treatment, and the outcome of the treatment, of the content, right? The benefit is the outcome of the content.
Yes.
And so at some point, this is unfair. This is unfair, I know.
No,
But,
I'm here for it.
you know, the professor needs to help you do some form of clinical study to verify that this actually makes a difference. The fact that it's more accurate is, a step toward getting, presumably effective treatment, targeted treatment. But unless the treatment is effective, whatever your content is, presumably your content is your treatment, then you don't have a benefit. Right? Now, it's possible for a lot of, and this is basically what happened with all of the meditation apps, is people were told that meditation is good for them, and so they, signed up for meditation apps. And most people felt better meditating than not meditating, and so they keep going back to meditation apps. So there's reuse metrics. Simply having users come back is a metric. We don't know that it's a measure of effectiveness, but it's better than nothing as a metric. So you don't necessarily have to do clinical studies to validate, but at least you should be capturing the data to show that at least the users feel this is much better than Calm or Headspace or any of the other meditation apps. And then, or any of the other mental, okay, all right. So, but I'm trying to make my feedback to Kai generic for all of you, right? I'm trying to so it's not just specific to Kai, it's sort of generic around how you get your points across. And so I appreciate your being a guinea pig and whatever. Thank you so much, guys. So.
I want to acknowledge the two of you again because I guarantee there's hardly ever been a pitch session or class where others have learned more because you all put yourselves out there. So thank you very much.
Right.
And
Thank you.
Bill.
Thank you.
And
Thank you. Yeah.
Everybody who's pitching needs to find a Bill. You need someone who will tell you what's what before you get out there. So make sure everybody has a Bill on their team. Questions? Yeah.
So while we're waiting for questions, just to follow up on that very specific point, for all of you, anytime you want to try to get a point across, one of your challenges is you know so much more about what you're talking about than your audience does. You don't even know what they don't know. And so you frequently assume in your pitch that they understand exactly what you're doing and why it's beneficial and all these sorts of things. What I strongly, strongly encourage everyone to do is exactly what Vicki said. Go find some fresh brains who will listen to your wow and give you this kind of feedback. So, what I'm doing is what anybody can do in listening to any sort of new, pitch. They can tell you what they heard, what made sense, what connected, what didn't connect, and what they missed. And that's incredibly valuable when you're trying to pull together a pitch for trying to get your point across. So yes, always do that. So does that make sense to everybody? Any questions?
Way in the back.
Okay, way in the back.
Question on the other side of things. How do you become good at judging? I think that you might have to do with having a generalist license. I see other wide range of knowledge. It seems almost unreasonable to dedicate yourself.
So the question is, how do you become good at judging pitches? So there's 2 layers, right? There's 2 layers to that, and I'm trying to offer a general layer that almost anybody can do, right? Anybody can listen to anyone else and say whether or not it was clear what they said, right? Anybody can listen to anybody else and say whether or not they thought they heard a benefit and whether that benefit was compelling. And then anybody can say, I believe you or I don't believe you, right? And so everybody in this room can judge, anybody else's pitch at that layer, Now, in terms of becoming a VC, and figuring out, so I will tell you, the reality is that what we have to do as VCs is we process literally thousands of pitches a year. And so what's going on, and is this being recorded or not? I don't care. So the dirty little secret about venture capital, if you ask a venture capitalist, how long do you generally spend with a pitch? Most will say, oh, a couple of minutes, maybe on average, to figure out whether or not. It's much less than that. It is much less than that. So in order to survive as a VC, you've got to learn to bucket pitches in very, very, very little time. And so we use these inexact signals to help us bucket pitches. And when I say bucket, what I mean is, do I want to spend more time or not, right? And so the buckets are roughly 5 to 10% and 90 to 95% are the buckets. And then we might spend a few minutes more with this, but we're going through all of these, pitches. Sometimes we're in a situation where we have to sit through the pitch. And so I don't know how many of you know Y Combinator. Has anybody here been through Y Combinator? Someone probably has. Is anybody? You have. You've been through Y Combinator. Right. So Y Combinator has boiled it down to 1 minute. 1 slide, 1 minute. 4 points, right? And with the sort of calculus that if you can hit these 4 points or 5 or whatever, if you can hit these points well, the right audience will pick it up and follow up on it. And so that's a variation, on this theme. So there's a right, so we have specific mandates for specific technologies in specific areas. So that's one filter. So it's pretty easy to throw out stuff that doesn't fit our mandate, right? And so then there are other filters in terms of, is there any credibility behind the team, behind their investors, behind, the referral source? Those are other signals we can use. But every once in a while, I come across something that, I see, and some entrepreneur is claiming they can make bits do something that bits have never done before. And I'll go, whoa, I wonder if that's true. And I'll at least spend a few more minutes. But obviously, it's a whole master class on venture capital. Question, yeah.
That talk that went viral about the golden circle of people buy what you believe in, but there's sell what you sell. So you agree with that concept, and how do we use that?
Am I supposed to see that? Oh, okay. Okay, we'll come back to that. So I've got, so, there's this concept in marketing, right, is that people have affinities for what other human beings have affinities for. This is kind of, people will buy what you believe in. And so there's this concept of affinity marketing around belief. Oh my God, wow, kaboom, okay. But let me tell you, my final point, the power of wow is much greater than the power of why. Okay? All right, go ahead. All right.
We want